My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time. Hello, everybody. Damien, how's your energy post Challengers podcast?
Well, today was a bit crazy. I mean, of course, there was one final in the morning, 5:30 a.m. for me. And that was okay because I wake up like this anyway for the Beijing Tokyo weeks. But after that, I mean, literally there was like four challenger finals on at the same time. There was a point like this. So yeah, the last few hours have been pretty insane.
And of course, you've been doing a couple of chores, including your laundry and hanging your washing up, which Vance just revealed is something he's just got into. That he's every time he's got laundry to do, he gets pumped like a new hobby.
Yeah, I was referring to ironing because I recently.
Oh, ironing. Okay, you've just got into ironing.
Board.
Sorry, yes.
Yes, ironing board, and occasionally I have to wear some good shirts to go out, so I gotta iron them.
I can just imagine Vance in San Diego just whistling along, maybe to California. There's various songs with California in it, and doing his ironing, maybe with some tennis on in.
Probably a talking tennis episode in the background, right? Like
talking tennis on in the background, of course. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
For those of you that have talking tennis on in the foreground, do join the live chat and let us know your thoughts on tennis, Ozan. Tennis we are here to talk about, not football, not soccer, not the disaster horror show that I saw unfold in front of my eyes this afternoon or early part of the evening, where Manchester United lost to Tottenham Hotspur.
This ironing discussion is fantastic.
Yeah, I know. Michael saying he's been ironing since he was 10 years old, I presume, not months or weeks. Wow, good for you, Michael. And I don't envy you whatsoever. Okay, let's move on to the tennis. I do want to start, before we actually get into the tennis on the court, some tennis that will be taking place in a court of a different kind is, of course, the latest development regarding Jannik Sinner, where WTA have now finally got involved and decided to take issue with the conclusion that the ITIA came to, which, let me think about this, is the, am I saying it right? ITIA? Is that right?
Yeah. International Tennis
Integrity Agency. Association.
I don't know, maybe agency. I thought it's association.
I find their title a little peculiar because I think what many of us would like to come to on this topic is a fairly black and white conclusion. And I know that many people will say, well, things are never black and white. Well, when it comes to doping, the idea and the notion is that we should be able to come at least as close as reasonably possible to a black and white conclusion. Well, the conclusion that WADA have come to is obviously very different to the one that the ITA have come to. I saw you tweet about this, Vance, and am I right in thinking that you think that the ITA maybe don't come out of this too well, looking too great at the moment, or have I misinterpreted your tweet there?
Well, I think it depends on what happens with the appeal. Like if WADA wins, then the ITIA's credibility could be under threat, because obviously the main point is the no fault or no negligence, which WADA came to the conclusion that Sinner does have to take the blame for that, even though his team members, obviously had the spray and everything, and even if he directly didn't know about it, like he's still responsible for that aspect of it, because the fault bears on the player, regardless of even a small amount of the substance in his system, like whatever it is, its responsibility falls on the player. So, but from this, it's kind of interesting because, like a 1 to 2 year ban, if Jannik's story is true, which is very plausible that it is, a 1 to 2 year ban is obviously very harsh compared to, not getting, like, compared to the 3 or 4 or 5 days of provisional suspensions that he got in April. So it's two very different approaches to basically the same, or two very different decisions to basically the same material that they both had access to. So that's kind of the part where it's like the ITIA has a totally different conclusion from WADA, and it's like now we're just waiting for the appeal, which could take many weeks.
Yeah, weeks or months. I think Sharapova's case has been highlighted as one suggesting that it might be a few months, which, by the way, for some people might be quite quick. For others, maybe it can't come soon enough. Damien, the case of Marco Bartolotti has been mentioned a few times. Is it because basically the two cases are very much the same, and yet Sinner now is in hotter water than Bartolotti was? Is that the case?
Bortolotti. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's clostable. We don't actually know what the exact explanation was because it's redacted in all the official files, so I have no idea. But yeah, I mean, this case is actually one of the main reasons why, well, Sinner wasn't necessarily preferential treatment, because Bortolotti also wasn't banned. He just literally, the case was going on while he kept playing, and he only had his results disqualified from that one challenger, which I think was in Lisbon. Anyway, European on clay, that doesn't really matter. But yeah, after a few months, we learned about it, and it basically ended as the same as the Sinner case. But yeah, then again, as Vansh says, like 1 or 2 years of a ban, but we have a lot of examples of players who got that. So how are they supposed to feel, right? I mean, I think they just kind of want an answer in terms of like, why did I get that ban, whereas Sinner was allowed to play while this was still going on? And I know that the Sinner camp has said that, they basically were ready with the explanation right away. For some people, even that is a little alarming. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a really tough one, because we thought that this was done. Jannik thought that this was done. Like, he was so sure, right? He gave all these interviews where he said that this is finally behind me, I can put it past me. Turns out he's not. I don't know if it will come to anything. One thing more that I have to say, though, it's very horrifying to me how, even though the WADA report or whatever it is, the WADA announcement was maybe 3 paragraphs, there are so many people talking about it on the internet who clearly didn't even read that. They just ask questions which are basically answered there, or so many are suggesting that WADA will now be questioning the Sinner explanation, which they won't. They accept the explanation. They just don't think that it classifies under, no fault or negligence. Recently, we've had a lot of players who got that no fault or negligence thing, by the way, I don't know, Andre Martin, Kamil Makshak, and they still were banned for about a year. So, yeah, I would like to know. And yeah, exactly. This is the statement. So if you haven't read that, then what are you even doing talking about the whole thing? But anyway, yeah, what I'm going to say is that I am not sure why the Sinner and Bortolotti cases are different from, for example, Makshak, Martin, etc. I'd like to know. That's kind of all I have to say. Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to read
and
out
this is an interesting one from Brazy as well. Could this
go on.
scandal mentally affect Jannik in the upcoming matches and tournaments? Yeah, probably, right? I mean, I still don't know what his motivation will be even this week, in terms of, he doesn't really have many goals right now for the rest of the season, basically until the ATP finals. So this, compared with that, yeah, I think it could affect him. He might have some, an unexpected loss somewhere soon.
I mean, there's been a few unexpected losses of sets, including at the beginning of the US Open, and I think he was down a set and a break in his first round match there, and maybe 1 or 2 losses of sets here. But we'll see, as he has obviously more testier matches to come. I'm just going to read out this statement because it is pretty short on the WADA website for those listening on our podcast, by the way. So the World Anti-Doping Agency, more familiar to many as WADA, confirms that on the Thursday, the 26th of September, it lodged an appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, also known as CAS, in the case of the Italian player Jannik Sinner, who was found by an independent tribunal of the aforementioned ITIA to bear no fault or negligence, having twice tested positive for clostebol, a prohibited substance, in March 2024. It is WADA's view that the finding of no fault or negligence was not correct under the applicable rules. That's obviously what the ITA conclusion was. WADA is seeking a period of eligibility of between 1 and 2 years. WADA is not seeking a disqualification of any results from the last 6 months, save for that which have already been imposed by the tribunal for the first instance. That's obviously the ones at Indian Wells, where those results, I think his financial reward from Indian Wells, but also the points he earned there, were all removed at the conclusion of the ITA last month, I think it was. As this matter is now pending before CAS, WADA will make no further comment at this time. There is a question which I have posed a couple of times, which I don't know the answer to, and maybe neither of you two do either, which is, when did WADA become aware of this? Did they become aware of it in March during the Indian Wells, and therefore they have waited for the ITA? Did they also, were they approving of the initial let Jannik continue to play? Or did they just find out, like many of us did, like last month? Do either of you know the answer to that question? No. Okay, that's fine. No, it is a question that I would like to know the answer to, because if they didn't know, and they probably did, I'm not saying they didn't, but if they didn't know until last month, well, that's a cover-up, right? If they didn't know until last month, it has been kept from them. But as I say, that's a question that maybe.
But do we even know the procedures, like in general? Like,
surely the WADA have to know about failed doping tests, right?
I don't know.
Well,
I mean, how important is the WADA? You know, I really have no idea how the procedures work there.
I think that's sort of the kind of, I mean, they're more important than the International Tennis Integrity Agency, I think. They have a...
Well, I mean, they're more important like the Olympics or something, but are they more important than tennis?
Well,
maybe it's common for the ITIA to kind of handle things on their own, and then again, like, that's something we just have no idea about.
By the way, why did we find out in the end anyway? Why did it emerge in August in the end, as opposed to obviously when it happened? Vanch, maybe?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think, yeah, I think it just got, like, they came up, that's the question that everybody has, like, you know, why was this not known to us in April when he failed those tests? And then why did it then take till August for the statement to come? Like, basically after he won Cincinnati, I think the day after.
Mm-hmm. All right. I don't know if either of you got anything to add, or shall we move on?
Not really. Yeah, there's just a lot we don't know. And basically, as usual with these cases, we're just sitting here and we have to wait for the procedures to follow and kind of, yeah, for the verdicts to come. Like, there's just nothing we can really do to impact the situation.
Sure.
Well, unlike PUBG suggests.
I did see something on this. I saw a tweet from what's his name, Scott Barkley, and he's like, one of the things about this that's kind of annoying is that given the goalposts moving, he sort of suggested the goalposts are moving in the direction of PUBG. Well, I don't necessarily think they are. I still think you can put some of his tweets in isolation and still treat them as insane, whatever happens in the rest of this Jannik Sinner case. And as I say, it sort of falls into my case by case scenario. And one of the things that PUBG, I think, does is he actually damages those notions that maybe there is an establishment, because I think there are issues in the way that, you know, governance occurs both within sport and elsewhere. I think that they should be questioned, and we should hone in on them, and we should put them under scrutiny. And maybe there's other people that are sort of semi-agreeing with this notion and think, okay, yeah, there is something a bit. But then PUBG goes off on his weird and crazy rants that are based on nothing more than the fact he's a fan of Novak Djokovic. And then it's those people are probably going, oh, actually, because this nut job is questioning the authorities, maybe we should just back them. So unfortunately, he actually damages the exact thing that he suggests that he's hoping to raise. That is all I have to say on PUBG, and I think we can move on, shall we?
Yes, absolutely. Let's not spend any more time on this. Yeah.
Fair enough. And fingers crossed, I'll actually get someone on who maybe can answer some of the questions that we still don't know the answer to. But we'll see if I can attract that kind of person. But let's concentrate on forehands, backhands, serves, second serves, serve bots, and whatever else drop shots is out there that we could talk about from today's action in Asia. Let's begin with Carlos Alcaraz's lightning quick win over what was it? I'm getting confused with who played over Griekspoor, Talon Griekspoor, at the expense of just 3 games. Do either of you want to jump in on this score?
I mean, honestly, it was just a very dominant performance. Like, there's not too much to say. I mean, they played under the roof. It was like, just in really, really good form from Carlos. Like, I think he basically didn't lose a point on his first serve. Is that right? He won 100% of his first serve.
Right. Yes.
So, yeah, it was just, and like he's played Griekspoor now like 3 or 4 times, and each time he seems to, I don't know exactly how to deal with Talon's ball, and like he's usually the one, just sort of making all the plays and just feels very comfortable in this matchup. So I think it's a good matchup. Plus, also he's just very fresh and inspired right now, and he's playing some of his best tennis for sure that we've seen this year. So I am sort of expecting him to, make the final at least, and then we'll see.
Yes, there's probably a little bit more certainty about him than Jannik at the moment, I think. And should they meet in the final, are we sort of feeling a bit more as though Alcaraz would go into that final as favourite, Damien?
I don't think he would go into that final as favourite unless like Sinner plays 2 horrible matches from here and just wastes a lot of energy. But yeah, I mean, Carlos is the one I kind of trust more mentally at the moment, motivation wise. Then again, of course, there's also the memories of the 2023 semi-final between them, which had Jannik beating him rather comfortably. But yeah, I think this is still pretty much what we are talking about at the beginning of the week. Like it's still, one of them will be in the final.
Vanch, I don't know if you saw Carlos was a bit annoyed a couple of days ago with the shot clock thing, which seemed to have reared its head in Queens as well this year. Yeah. Do you have any sympathy for him, or what's your thoughts on the slightly different process that seems to be deployed in Beijing and also at Queens?
A little bit. I can see why he would sort of not like that, because a lot of times like he finished the point at the net and he didn't really have enough time to go back to his towel, get it, get ready, and then start his rituals. So and it just automatically starts for him. And this is something that's newer on the ATP tour, like, so it's not something he had to deal with before. So I can see like why it would kind of just mess up his whole rhythm and everything. And obviously he also got 2 time violations in that one game when he was serving out the first set against Pericard. So like once he got the second time violation, I think that's when he got annoyed, and but I think it is something that he's not a fan of, and I don't think many players can actually sympathize with him. So I don't think he's like in the wrong for mentioning that.
Yeah, so it was just from a couple of matches ago on the 27th, so where he was obviously upset about getting a time violation, and I think it was a similar situation to him at Queens. All right, unless you want to add anything to Carlos's form, Damien, because it does look like the result in New York was just an aberration, and we're back to the norm almost with Carlos, or maybe even better than before.
I mean, the US Open was not about form. It was about being just jaded, passionless kind of, which is really imperative to his game. But yeah, I will hopefully be able to add more to about Carlos's form after doing the stream tomorrow for Alcaraz Khachanov. So
yes,
well, yeah, you guys are all invited, obviously. And yeah, after
is anyone not invited? Is there anyone not invited? I mean, basically anyone, right?
I wonder. I mean, I'm trying to
invited. Pavi G's invited.
If Pavi wants to show up and sort of, put some things in the chat as well, I'll probably, hide them or ban him instantly.
Well, that depends. I mean, if he just says, I think Alcaraz is playing great today.
No, I mean, I would welcome that. If he says that I think that Alcaraz is playing horrible, I would welcome that as well.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Pavi, if you're watching this, come tomorrow.
Given his comments about talking tennis and the people that contribute to it, well, I think he called us morons or words to that effect. It might have been worse about 6 months ago. So probably he won't be tuning in, but you never know. Okay. By the way, just regarding Alcaraz, let's do something here, Vanch, on Alcaraz Khachanov with us doing a live stream tomorrow. I think we should just talk about it for a minute or two. Khachanov, does he have a chance? And if he does, what can he do to hurt Carlos? I mean, he's not kind of a player who can hurt. He gets to Grand Slam quarterfinals and even semifinals, but he's not a player who generally hurts anyone. He's just a bit of a wall, really.
Yeah, he's kind of just one of those like litmus test players. Like if you're beating him, then you're pretty much you're like in the top 15, top 10. Like you're kind of he requires like a certain sort of base level, but if you're able to meet that, there's not anything one shot in particular that he just overwhelms you with, and that's kind of been the issue for him in the matchup. Like I think he's played 3 times and it's like 7-0 in sets for Carlos. And so like in this form, I'm not really expecting Khachanov to pull the upset or do anything. Like he would kind of need Alcaraz's level to be below what it's been so far. But I mean, I think he's certainly got a chance if he just serves big, plays big off the ground, is consistent. I just don't know if that's enough because you have to be able to rush Alcaraz. You got to be able to, attack his second serve. You got to be able to put him in those uncomfortable spots. So I don't know if Karen right now is playing at that sort of level. He is like, dominating Cerundolo in their rivalry. Like he's beaten him 5 times this year.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Khachanov is someone who can frustrate an opponent, and Alcaraz on occasion can get frustrated.
Yeah.
But am I clutching at straws, Damien?
Not really. I think sometimes when you play horrible stuff for like half a year, you can just enter a big match, against a good opponent and play freely, which Khachanov really has to do. Like he can't just go with his usual stuff. Like what got him the win against Cerundolo today will not work against Alcaraz. Like against Cerundolo, he really just has to be a wall, as you said. Like just adding more and more power against him, it's pointless. He's gonna get everything back. You can't really overwhelm him physically, which Fran can do to a lot of players. But yeah, against Carlos, just all really like with how much wider his repertoire is, it's just so much tougher for Khachanov to really stand up to that. But yeah, maybe if he just plays somehow, he just has that one match where he's going all out. But yeah, we remember that Khachanov had that insane streak where he was like 21 losses in a row against the top 10 or something like that. So that kind of tells you how often he can actually access that and how often he actually changes something up. Very, very rarely.
All right, cool. Have you got anything else to add, Vanch, or shall we move on?
No, not really. But it has been a while since Khachanov has played some good tennis. I want to say since like Monte Carlo when he made the quarters and he beat Medvedev on the way. Since then, he hasn't really, the form that he was in, let's say 2023.
Right. I don't recall Khachanov ever having many injuries, although I could be wrong. But then this spell that he had out of the game really did sort of come when he was arguably playing, at least in terms of results, getting the best results of his career with the runs of quarterfinals and semifinals at Grand Slams that he had. But anyway, he did get a straight sets win over what some people call their pigeon in the form of Francisco Cerundolo, although it was obviously 2 very tight sets, 7-6, 7-6. The second one was to 9 points as well on the racket of the Argentinian. So, okay, Bu beating Musetti, by the way, the wild card, of course, from China. Should we be surprised by this result, Damien?
Well, I mean, Bu has been getting some amazing wins, but also Lorenzo had issues with his arm. Was 4-1, 40-15 already. Then it got to 4-all. And, well, I mean, he kept fighting because the choke was coming. Like, you could see that, it's possible. But in the end, Bu actually managed to play, like, pretty incredible point, I think, on the match point, and also one of them. It was very similar to how he closed out Shang as well. Like, he had a huge lead, blew it, but then he comes back and the serve helps him out and stuff. But yeah, he was like straight up better. But Musetti did actually kind of struggle with that arm. And well, he took an MTO as well. I thought that he might retire. He kept fighting because, well, he clearly felt like he still had a shot, but eventually didn't manage to do it. And actually, Bu has a pretty interesting situation now because Rublev is going to play twice tomorrow, or Davidovich Fokina. So he will be getting a slightly tired opponent if the if there's no rain and if they play everything. And by the way, there was a question about this. Thoughts on Emma Navarro dropping down to play a W125 in Hong Kong?
I saw a lot of
I
talk
mean-
about that on Twitter today. Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, like of course, top 10 players can't even enter that, but she was 12 at the entry deadline. I mean, personally, I don't have an issue with that. I know some people in the comments said that it's like, the tennis ecosystem is somehow shaken and she's taking away opportunities from other players. But I mean, if she finds it, important, if she finds it worthwhile to play this, then why not? Like, I personally think that these things just take care of themselves. Even if you didn't have that rule that like top 10 players can't play 125s, they, for the most part, they just wouldn't, because it's just not worth it. It's just not worth going there and playing 5 matches for 125 points if you have 3,500 like Navarro does. Why is she doing that? I mean, we have already said that she's like Pegula, right? That she just wants to play. Like if she has a free week, she doesn't want that. She just wants to compete in an event, whatever the rank is, really. So she's not a fan of like extended training blocks. So yeah, I don't have an issue with that. By the rules, she's allowed to do it. I will be interested to see if anyone beats her or not, if she's going to have the same kind of motivation that she would have usually. And also, Dave, it's pretty funny that you say that you don't keep up with Tool anymore, because they release an album like every 15 years. So you don't have to do much in order to keep up with that. I think it was even a meme for a while when they were like really struggling to get one out.
What's that? Who it doesn't keep up with what? Sorry, what did he?
Tool. It's a band. Anyway, never mind.
Okay.
Has
Where's
Navarro
Queen
played
Bee
at
logo?
125? Has
She's
Navarro
gonna-
already
she's
played at
gonna be
125
interesting.
this year? She did play one after Rome, right? I think she
She
lost
played
early
2
on
of them, I
Rome.
think. Yeah, Paris and something. But back
Yeah.
then she was ranked like 20 something, I think. So it wasn't.
Yeah. Maybe she's just like trying to make sure that she gets that last spot in WTA finals.
Yeah, that's what I was
Like, just,
thinking.
No,
you know.
WTA 125s don't count towards the race.
Oh,
don't
yeah,
they?
that's right. They don't. You're right. Yeah,
Yeah, the
you're right.
WTA has a very
point.
weird system with the race where like
got
no
that, yeah.
results below the main tour count.
Maybe
which
she doesn't know.
On the
Maybe
ATP,
she
everything
doesn't know.
counts. It's possible. It is one of the plausible explanations. Yeah.
And she might not know. I mean, I think she probably does. But again, Emma, you should be tuning into Talking Tennis, so that way you will be aware of all things tennis, as I so often say. All right, cool. Let's go back to Beijing and just round off basically some other results that have occurred in the last 24 hours. Well, first of all, for those of you tuning in about Andrei Rublev, his match today obviously got rained off. So that's why he potentially will have to play 2 matches tomorrow. The winner of him and Davidovich Fokina will play the aforementioned Boo. So that's that. But there were other matches, of course, if we look at the scores from today and yesterday, you'll see that there's 7 matches completed, and obviously the 8th one will be done, I guess, pretty early on tomorrow morning. Sinner winning in 3 sets. I did mention how this is obviously yesterday's action. Medvedev, by the way, against a guy that has caused him a lot of trouble in the past in the form of Adrian Manarino. And the first set was super close before Medvedev ends up winning 7-6, 6-2. Lehecka, who will play Jannik Sinner tomorrow, beat Roberto Bautista Agut in 3 sets. And Kaboli won in straight sets over Kotov. Of these 4 results from yesterday, is there any one of these that you would like to add your thoughts on, Vanch?
Well, I mean, I think Sinner clearly found out about the water thing while he was playing, because otherwise,
You think so? You think that's you really? I mean, I know that obviously lost the first set and then wins the next 2, but
yeah.
somebody told him.
But just judging by his reaction when he won, and like that moment where he had like the towel on his face and he was like taking a moment for himself. Maybe he found out.
He found out a couple of days ago, didn't he?
No,
Did he not?
like I think he knew that the decision would be coming out, but he didn't know
Okay.
like what it would be like the day
Fair
of.
enough.
So
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know when he found out during the match. No one really asked him this, but yeah,
Yeah, that
just
would be
something that came
intriguing.
to my mind.
Yeah, it would be intriguing to know if and when exactly he found out. But yeah, so his celebration was very muted. I mean, even I know it's obviously a round of 16 match, but you're pretty sure that his reaction to the match win was also with the weight of this decision on his shoulders as well.
Yeah, I also remembered RBA beat Lehecka in Davis Cup, so that's a
Okay.
good
It was
win for them.
3-0 for Bautista Agut in the head-to-head.
Yeah.
So actually, he managed to win for the first time, and he played pretty smart to do it. He was like really hitting into pretty safe targets, surprising version of Lehechka's game, both in the Martinez match and in the Bautista Agut one. So, well, I think against Jannik, he's obviously gonna have to like hit out a bit more. That's probably, well, not one where he can afford to play smart, but in the first 2 rounds he did, which, well, is somewhat of an improvement, that's for sure. And yeah, Medvedev Manarino, definitely 4-all right now in the head-to-head. Such a tough one for Daniil with how he has to like attack of these flat balls, and especially of the forehand, it's just impossible for him. But yeah, somehow he managed to get through anyway. So yeah, it's always like when we see Medvedev Manarino in the draw, we're always just thinking, okay, this will be a drag. Like regardless of what happens, this will be a match where he has to expend some energy for sure.
Yeah.
For those of you wondering about WTA Weekly and ATP Weekly, WTA Weekly is having a week off, but we're obviously giving you plenty of coverage anyway of the WTA side of things, and we'll come to that shortly. But we'll be back, obviously, at the conclusion of the 1000 in Beijing in around about a week from now. But we will, I think, have an ATP Weekly, Damien, I guess, on midweek sometime to probably give us a preview of the upcoming Shanghai Masters event as well.
Yeah, I mean, Beijing finals on Wednesday. Shanghai
Yeah.
starts on Wednesday already. So, I mean, we'll see.
It'll be after the final anyway, so probably Wednesday afternoon once
Yeah.
Shanghai will have just got underway. But we'll be good to reflect on both the 2 500s in Asia. Is there any other thing you want to mention or talk about from Beijing before we move over to Tokyo, either of you?
Well, I mean, Kabuli is playing Medvedev in the quarters, so that is a rematch of U.S. Open, which I did think was going to be more competitive than the match they played at the time. So we'll see if Kabuli learned something from that. And it was actually like it was straight sets, but there were like some tight moments here and there and some closer games. But yeah, Medvedev was just such a wall in that match, and Kabuli, yeah, with his didn't have enough to hit through him. So that'll be interesting.
All right, cool. Want to know, obviously, the head-to-head, that Seoul meeting that you just mentioned coming in New York. Okay, medical timeouts, by the way, has been a little bit of a theme from today. I heard you mention it regarding, I think it was Musetti's match earlier. Well, there was also a medical timeout in Tokyo that got 1 or 2 people talking because it came in the Holger Rune match with Nishikori. Do either of you or do both of you have an opinion on this medical timeout that Holger took at a pretty key moment in the 3rd set?
I mean, they were both dead, and so was the case in Fils Shelton. Like, both matches were just a hospital. Like, literally, it was like maybe 3-all in the 3rd. I wrote a message to someone on the group chat, like, prepare the wheelchairs for both of them, because, yeah, both guys were just almost at the point of exhaustion, and then Holger was not moving well there, not at all. Kei was obviously on the brink as well, like he's been the entire week pretty much. In the end, he manages to win somehow, and Fils Shelton was even worse with that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, these 2 matches, these 2 top half quarterfinals today, were pretty insane. And yeah, I have no idea how these guys will recover for tomorrow. I mean, it's probably more cramping than anything else. So technically you can, but it was such a mess.
Yeah. What about you, Vanch? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Runa saved a match point in the 3rd set, 5-3 down. Comes back, breaks K's serve like 2 more times. K probably a little bit, was just so close to the finish line, but Holger was like there were some points in this match where, because he was so physically exhausted, he was just going for broke on some returns and like on some forehand down the lines, like just changing directions. And I was like, he's so talented. Sometimes he can just pull it off like this. And but yeah, I just wonder how much he has left in the tank. Same with Fils, who almost served for, like, he had match points to serve for a 7-5 7-5 win, and then he both guys were cramping like crazy, Shelton and Fils, and like, yeah, like it was like Fils had no energy even to celebrate at the end when he won the 3rd set tiebreak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, like Shelton had an actual injury from the 2nd set onwards, maybe even earlier actually. But yeah, somehow Fils just kept giving him these leads away, and like literally he was like 0 out of 3 maybe on breakpoint save. Then Shelton was like 15 out of 18 at some point. But in the end, of course, Arthur just played a great tiebreak, which I guess is very impressive because he had absolutely no legs left, and for like 3 hours he was just far less clutch than Shelton. But even more so than Rune, it was funny in the third set when he was trying to return sometimes. Like last few games on the Shelton serve, Fils was just like guessing. There was no ability to like stretch for anything, so he was just guessing and slamming the shot. And usually, of course, it would go out. I think in the third set there was a couple of breaks exchanged, but the other games were just like speed run. And yeah, I mean that he still played this tiebreak where he actually gathered everything and managed to hit a great volley, which was something that for the entire match was not working for him at all either. A couple of great volleys actually maybe. So yeah, both of them were absolutely dead, and it was not pretty viewing, but it was dramatic. It was entertaining.
Yeah, and of course, I think you mentioned on Twitter earlier today, Damien, about a Ben Shelton camera scribble from a year ago. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was Tokyo was held in October, so it was the same week as Antwerp. Shelton and Fields apparently are friends, and Shelton wrote on the camera after picking up his first ATP Tour title in Tokyo. He wrote, "Show me something, Arthur." And Arthur did not really show him something on the day. I think he even said so after the Antwerp final that unfortunately I didn't manage to show him anything because he lost to Bublik in like this very disappointing manner.
Yeah, it was.
But well, right now it was actually moved, of course, back to the Beijing week in September. So they are both at this event and they played this insane battle, which I think is very poetic and nice.
Cool. Hi, Maria, by the way, for those of you just joining, I see Maria. Do hit the like button and, of course, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Okay, is there what else have we got been going on today? Let me go back to the results screen. Where are you, Tokyo? That's Beijing. Let's get the right country. Okay, here we go. So, Rune obviously beating Nishikori in 3 sets, Arthur Fils beating Ben Shelton in 3 sets, that we just spoke about. Hugo Humbert overcame, if you like, Jack Draper, but of course, basically he's through largely because Draper unfortunately retired hurt. This is a recurring theme with Jack Vanch.
Yeah, it looks like it's the abdominal again, right? So
okay,
that's a bit of a shame. Just like it happened to Berrettini in the first match against Fils. And it was already bothering Jack like at 4-all or 4-5 in the first set. And basically like then he was just trying to play, but you kind of knew like it was inevitable. Like Humbert was either going to pull through very straightforward in the second or Jack was going to have to give up. Yeah, that's a bit of a shame because he played pretty well the first 2 matches to get to the quarters. But yeah, hopefully it's not anything serious. Hopefully like he'll be able to play in Shanghai.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah. Have you got any thoughts on the Humbert Draper encounter for what it's worth, Damien?
Yeah, he pulled something on serve in the first set with the ab. It was pretty clear from like maybe 4-5 or something like that this is not going to last, or like if it's going to last, Humbert is just going to win. Humbert obviously one of these guys though who like when they turn it on, they really turn it on. Would be pretty fun if he made a final and had that chance to go 7-0 in finals, which he would be the first player to do so. But well, of course, Mahac is also firing on all cylinders this week. The backhand has been backhanding, and he's really making a case for this being one of the best shots on tour at the moment. And I love that. And he's also crushing all Americans and all your guys' hopes and dreams.
And you
the American dream, he ruined it,
right? You said it before the tournament got underway. You said, "I think an American's going to win in
yeah." And actually today both lost. Nicholson and Shelton. Yeah, they ended up losing today.
So they've now got the semi-final lineup confirmed. Mahac is going to play Humbert, and therefore Holger Rune will be against who am I missing from that quartet? Fils, of course. Yes, yeah. That could be exciting. Holger Rune, Arthur Fils, Vanch.
Yeah, it's certainly very enticing if they have any legs left, both of them.
Yeah, I mean, Rune is someone as well who from time to time in his fledgling career has been someone who's kind of run out of gas on occasions, right?
Yeah, many
From
times.
time to time only.
I mean,
Many
I think it's
times.
got a bit better, actually, weirdly enough, but maybe that's because
Yeah,
he's losing
it's
more.
gotten better. It's gotten
But
better.
maybe it's because he's losing more and he's not going so deep in a lot of these tournaments. He's not being tested so often.
Yeah, I
But,
think the last time that these two played, I think Runa had to retire. Was that in
Yeah.
Hamburg? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hamburg this year. So,
yes, I was probably even at that particular encounter.
so yeah. And then they played last year in Rome, I think, and Runa won that.
Yeah.
So
These are the two matches that they play this.
Yes, so one each in their head-to-head. As you say, both of the previous two coming on clay, so it's their first hardcore encounter. But one each is the head-to-head so far. Okay, cool. Anything else to add regarding Tokyo, Damien, if you want to say something before we move on to the WTA?
Keen was asking about the Mikkelsen-Tabilo chances to win Tokyo.
The doubles, that is, yeah.
Yeah, who is it? Behar Galloway already in the final, and who do they play tomorrow? I don't even remember. I mean, yeah, I can't really know. Mikkelsen was just in the Cincinnati final. Obviously, he's doing pretty well there as well, but I don't know. I would still take like a normal class doubles team over that, I suppose. Today, Nizhelinsky, yeah, I'm just not too let's say keen on them recently. Indoor conditions, was it indoor conditions today though in Tokyo? I'm not really sure, but yeah, anyway, there was also a question about who is the favorite in Tokyo, and my answer to that is I have no idea.
No,
like literally all of
it
them.
has unfolded. One prediction we did kind of make, or one forecast we did make, was that Tokyo was going to be the more random tournament of the two, and that has at least unfolded that way.
yeah, if it stays indoors, maybe Umber will like his chances even more.
Wow, yeah.
So would Mahaj.
That's true. Yeah, Mahaj hasn't made an ATP final yet, right?
He made one in Geneva. He defeated Djokovic, number 1 in the semis, and lost to Ruud.
Oh yeah, that was the final where he lost to Ruud. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, final.
This is his second semifinal.
Right. Yeah.
So over to the WTA side of things, and yeah, we've had. What am I showing on the screen? Why am I showing the US Open right now? Don't know. Where's Beijing? Here we go. WTA Beijing. Boom, here we go. So Coco Gauff winning in straight sets over Katie Bolter. Jessica Pegula winning in 3 sets over Kudermetova. Friend of the show, Avanesian, is out. Badosa is through. Of course, this was rain affected too as well, right, Vanch?
Yeah, like we still have Stearns, Kalinskaya, which hasn't finished yet. That's like midway through the 3rd set. I think Keys and Haddad Maya's. No, I think that was actually not supposed to be today, but I think that might be the only one that got interrupted. Oh no, actually, Volinets and Osaka.
Volinets Osaka, but it didn't get interrupted, right? It just didn't start.
So that'll start today. Well, in about like 7 hours, maybe.
Anything to say about any of these results that we did have today before we have a look at tomorrow's order of play in Beijing?
I mean, obviously,
Freck beating
Freck. I mean, yeah, the most.
The first at 6-0. She did that. She's done that before, hasn't she? She lost the first at 6-0 recently.
Keeps winning. I mean, there's a pretty fun story. She could be like the 4th highest ranked Polish player ever after this event. Of course, I'm talking about women only. If she gets over 27, I think, in the rankings. So, yeah, it's very open for her now. I think she's going to play Shuai Zhang, who is, of course, also one of the other results we have to mention.
The story, really, of this tournament.
Yeah, she killed Minen, and apparently they're also good friends. Her on-court interview kind of made went viral because Hret apparently, like a few years ago, helped her out traveling from an event to another event. And yeah, I mean, to play like this for 3 matches now is just pretty ridiculous. And given that she plays Frank next, like, yeah, it's a brilliant opportunity for both players.
Yeah.
And Naomi against Coco Brazy, yes, we're constantly thinking about that, but we had to actually slow down a bit, of course, today because Osaka didn't play Volinets. But yeah, I mean, Osaka Gauff ever since the draw was made.
I feel like they've always been on a collision course so many times this year, but they were either one match away or somebody else stopped them. Like Australian Open, even they were supposed to play in like the 3rd round, and then Garcia beats Naomi, and then Freck beats Garcia, and then Coco beats Freck. It's like Miami as well. They were supposed to meet, and then Garcia beats both of them. Like Indian Wells, they were supposed to meet Martin's.
Must be the
beat-
fourth round in Australia, actually. But yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
There's a very
Yeah,
peculiar
fourth
head.
round, that's right. Yeah, but basically they could have already met like 3-4 times already, but just never happened.
Do you want to see maybe the most confusing or ambiguous headline I can recall in recent? I don't think she was losing for 52 years.
Okay, this is just a horrible
okay.
headline.
Yes.
What is the website?
I think it should say drought instead of streak. But yeah.
But it's not. No, but it's not a drought either, because she's not 70
Or
years
is it?
old, is she? And been losing for 52 years. It's
No,
the
but
fact
yeah,
that the
it's
record.
not a drought. Yeah, it's not a
Yeah,
drought.
it's not a drought. Never mind. I didn't
Yeah,
see
but
it.
don't worry.
So
But
it's 52.
just when I thought the headline couldn't get any worse, I think Vanchi might have managed to achieve that.
Yes.
Wait, but what are they saying, in fact? After
So
breaking
what it
the
is, I
longer...
think there was a record of 52. So no one had lost that many matches, maybe on the main tour in a row for the last 52 years.
But I mean, no one ever did. So I guess they're just counting from like the beginning of the WTA tour or whatever,
Okay,
right?
yeah, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, maybe since the beginning of the WTA.
In the Open era. Oh no, okay, they are counting from something. It was lower down. Madeleine Pegula or whatever. Even lower.
Okay. Oh yeah,
Here.
lost her first 29 matches.
29 matches from 68 to 72. Okay,
Mm.
so that's what they're... Yeah, but that's not the right way to write that headline. What is the website, by the way? Let's shame them. Let's shame them.
It's called Jang, but with a J. .com.pk, which I guess PK is Peking, is it maybe? Although I would have thought PK. Jang.com. Let's find out what this media outlet is all about. Jang Media Group, maybe.
Let's burn them on the stake. Yeah, let's...
Well, we've got the Jang Media Group. Oh, PK is Pakistan, which does make sense, because
website, okay.
you wouldn't get a city such as, of course, Peking is also known as Beijing nowadays. So
Yeah.
it's a Pakistani media conglomerate and a subsidiary of Dubai-based independent media corporation. Anyway, that is who they are.
The country of Aysam ul Haq Qureshi and Akil Khan should do better with their tennis writing. So, guys, get going. And a huge country as well.
Indeed. So yeah, goes to here also saying that and Brazy as well picking me up on the PK Pakistan thing. So yeah, pull your fingers out and give some more attention to your headline writing. Often, of course, it's not the journalist who writes the headlines, and it's their name written beside it, and they are equally horrified. So maybe we shouldn't go for the journalist, but we should certainly bring them
I think
up.
it's staff. So thankfully, at least they did that. They're not going to be allowing us to shame anyone individually.
Good. All right. Anyway, yes, I did say that I think we should look forward in Beijing, because perhaps the stories are ahead of us rather than behind us, with the exception of obviously that Zhang breaking the losing streak that she was on, and now she's on a winning streak of... Is she on a winning streak of 3 or 2?
3.
3. Yeah, that's impressive.
Mina, Navarro, and whoever she beat in the first round. Kessler?
Kessler.
Yeah. Okay. So these are the matches to come. Madison Keys against Hadamar. I think that was already touched upon. Podoroska against Qin Wenjing. Qin Wenjing, of course, getting a lot of attention in her homeland. Sabalenka, who I feel has barely played, although she must have played at least one match, up against Kruger, Paulini, Linette. Talking of Polish tennis players. Andreeva Vekic is to come. Then there's the suspended match of Stearns and Kalinskaya, which needs to reach a conclusion. We've also got Volinets, who's a friend of Nerland's, against Naomi Osaka, Mukova Christian, and Kazakina Anisimova. We're still a couple of matches away, Vanch, from a potential Sabalenka Mukova match, right, which will be a quarterfinal potentially.
Yeah.
Can you see the Christian or Kruger stopping that tomorrow?
I can't. I just kind of think both of them are going to get to the quarters. Unless I don't know. Maybe Madison Keys just plays the best tennis that she's played since the 2023 U.S. Open, where she...
Who's Keys a potential fourth round for then, or round of 16 for?
I think Keys Sabalenka is a potential round of 16.
Oh, okay.
So that would be interesting as well.
Yeah. Obviously, don't mention to Madison that semi-final she lost had it in
But
New
I would
York.
say amongst the 3 players in the other, like in the 16 section, with Martins, Buxa, and Christian. I would expect Muhova to win her next 2 matches. Actually,
Okay.
Did
Sorry,
Haddad Maya just win an event as well?
she did,
Yeah.
yeah.
she did. No, Haddad Maya is playing really well.
The
Like,
Sabalenka
last-
draw is much tougher than Muhova's. Yeah,
It is.
that is for sure. Yeah, both third round and fourth round. I mean, Kruger over Christian, that's already a little tougher, I would say. And the
Yep.
fourth round especially. That's, Keys, Haddad Maya, or whoever you mentioned. I forgot already. Mertens or Podoroska? No.
And then Buxa, I think. Yeah.
Oh, Mertens or Buxa, yeah. I mean, that's just incomparable, really. So if anyone doesn't get to the quarters, it might actually be Arena.
Yeah,
Yeah.
might well be.
I was also looking forward to a potential Krejcikova versus Muhova, but Christian decided to save 4 match points. And actually pretty
Krejcikova
impressive.
hates the Romanians, right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
An all Czech affair was denied then by the
But also
Romanian.
she's already in the WTA final, so she
Yeah.
can just play these tournaments, but I don't really know what the motivation is.
She
so.
doesn't
She
need
can
to
go
worry
to
about
Saudi
playing 1, 2,
Arabia
5.
earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's not pretend that Krejcikova losing early in events is just motivation, I mean,
I know.
she loses
But-
early in events 90%
But
of
like
her
when you won
career.
Wimbledon, who cares, right?
Yeah, I should be showing the screen right now. I didn't realize I wasn't, but there we go. So those are the matches to come tomorrow in Beijing. Okay, are we at an end? I don't know if I've missed anything. Maybe there's some matches on the ATP side I didn't mention, but I think I did really touch on most of them. Pretty much. Obviously, we've got Sinner Lehetska tomorrow as well. I mean, Lehetska, I remember watching him play Jannik in Indian Wells, and I think it was 2 very close sets, and the match, it looks like a straightforward win for Jannik, but I remember watching that as it happened, and it was just one of those where just a couple of points in each set went the way of Jannik, and that was enough. So maybe
That's an
no.
optimistic view about that match, I think. I
Yeah.
think it was Miami. No, Indian Wells or Miami?
Indian Wells, I think.
Anyway, yeah, Lehechka defeated Tsitsipas and Rublev, played like perfect matches against them, and then he runs into Sinner, and it's nothing like that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I could see that going 3. I mean, Jannik is leaking sets a little bit at the moment.
I'm not saying it might not. I mean, I'm just saying that Indian Wells match, I have a slightly more pessimistic memory of. Yes.
Yeah, that was very one-sided. I was there for that.
Oh, you were there. Of course, you were in Indian Wells, weren't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Indian Wells that day with the quarterfinals, the quarterfinal day, and it was over so quick. I couldn't even get into the stadium.
Yeah, I don't think it was close.
Okay,
there was a Struff match earlier in the event that was kind of like that, where it was competitive 2 sets, and like if one takes the break, if Struff takes the break points, not Sinner, then it can get close. But Lehechka was like kind of
way too high percentage for a lot of these players right now. Like it has so much margin.
But like Lehechka kind of rolled over, got rolled over by Sinner. But yeah, it doesn't have to be like that tomorrow.
I mean, maybe a tournament where we are kind of waiting for a potential Alcaraz Sinner final could really be exciting at the semi-final stage if we have, say, a Sinner Rublev semi-final. Hopefully, Rublev will still have some energy in the tank with Medvedev against Alcaraz. I know we sort of have an idea about how the Medvedev Alcaraz matchup is shaping up, with the odd difference in that Medvedev obviously winning that one, in particular the US Open, but still at least it'll be 2 players pretty much at the upper echelon of the sport. And then obviously Jannik against Andre would be someone, of course, who beat Jannik a few weeks ago in Montreal.
Tokyo is where it's at. Tokyo is where it's at this week.
But yeah,
top 4 seeds in the semis. Sorry, I'm not interested in that. Tokyo is the bomb this week.
This is looking at the live chat. This is how, without any substance to a rumor that's just basically someone writing 5 or 6 words, can gather pace. ATP Dave suggesting that maybe I have a date. Now it's basically become a fact. Ghosty's saying, who is the German girl? Blah, 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 blah. And yeah, just fortunately, they're not in control of the anti-doping agencies jumping to such conclusions with so little evidence before them. It's actually 11:04 here in the evening. And I just don't think we've got much else to talk about in terms of the tennis in Asia. If there's something that either of you two want to add, or someone... Sabine Yeah. But no, it would be a very unusual time to go on a date. That's for sure. I don't think you. I think after 11 o'clock, I don't think it's called a date anymore. I think it's maybe in the booty call category.
Is the Siki single?
I have no idea, and if she's not, I hope that I don't get a knock at her door from a big husband who's not happy about
There's
the fact
also Andrea Petkovic.
I have no
don't
idea
know.
about her status, and I'm
Yeah,
not going to
I don't know either.
dwell on it now. Keen asking what my ideal first date is. Beers by the river. That's very boring, I know, but yeah. I tell you what's a good place to meet someone. The train. The train is good. It's a good dynamic environment. There's things going on outside the window. It's a nice one. I'm not saying you should go on a first date on the train, because people will just think you're a bit weird if you're saying let's get on a train and go somewhere. But anyway, I've gone off at a crazy tangent. Have I missed anything from Asian tennis, either of you two? Or the tennis in Asia, I should
No,
say.
but actually, there's one more match: Mira Andreeva against Stana Vekic.
Oh,
I don't know
okay,
who's
yeah.
going to win that. Do any of you guys have any prediction for that, or any thoughts? Or
No.
it could go either way. Very even.
Pretty random.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know where either player is at right now in terms of their form. Both have had patches this year of obviously 2 Grand Slam semi-finalists. I think Vekic at Wimbledon and Andreeva at the French. But I don't recall much from either of them after those remarkable runs in Paris and London.
Yeah, obviously Vekic played that match against Zhang, which finished at like.
And she had a good Olympics as well, Vekic, of course. So
Yeah.
I'm doing her a disservice there, actually.
Yeah.
What's their head-to-head like?
I think last year they had a. No, I think last year, yeah, Mira made the quarters in Beijing and like played Rybakina pretty well, but lost in 3.
It looks like it's their first match. It's not a great
Yeah,
surprise.
they've never played before, so.
Yeah. And I think they're both ranked sort of around the 2022 mark in the rankings, and both have career highs, not much different to that. So it does seem fairly evenly matched. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe Andreeva will emerge the winner, but I'm not really saying that with any great conviction. Damien, done?
Yeah, I mean, I read Andreeva Vekic falls to me like into that sort of a WTA tour match where you're just, I mean, they're gonna get out there. Even Andreeva with a slightly less risky playstyle is far from like exactly like knowing what she has to do on the court every single time, and that makes it very unpredictable. I think it's just literally form of the day and whoever performs better in the key moments. And yeah, I think we're pretty much done. I mean, let's Vansh, I can't quite say that to you, but let's go to bed and let's wake up for the Asian swing.
Yes, indeed. Not the 5 Kings. People are getting a bit asking us questions. 5 Kings and Runa, by the way, as Ghosty's calling it, rather than the 6 Kings. People are getting very excited about the promotional thing that, I don't know, I didn't find it that exciting. I mean,
I agree with Andy Murray. Yeah. For the first time in my life. About
not getting excited about an exhibition.
Yeah, I mean, he basically said to Liam Brody, like, well, it's not a movie. And, well, it's an exhibition. You're not going to watch it. And he's very right. I mean, everyone who's suddenly, like, so excited about the promo is still not going to watch the event. This is basically the Mubadala, whatever, that was held in December, of course, usually the Saudi Arabian exhibition. And I never watched it while it was in the off-season. So why would I watch it while it's in the actual tennis calendar? I think it's the Almaty, Stockholm, Antwerp week. 3 brilliant 250s to follow, 5 challengers at the same time. Yeah, I mean, no shot. I think the Laver Cup is a much better event.
I do, yeah. No, the Laver Cup cannot be on par with these other exhibitions at all. Like, the players care way more.
Yes, I would agree with that. So obviously this is the tweet here from Liam.
Although the money is insane there. Like, the money is just incredible.
That's why the 6 players highlighted have all retweeted it. They've all also said amazing things about the promo and how excited they are to play there. Well, let's take the money away and let's see if they're equally as excited and promoting it in the same manner. I think we all know the answer to that. But
that's a pretty stupid argument. But I mean, yeah, the video is okay, right? I mean, but yeah, Andy Ray showed Liam, and sorry, I mean, he's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you'd watch the movie, but not the tennis tournament. And there you go, Andy Murray there with his tweet, except it's not a movie and you won't watch it because it's an exhibition tennis event that nobody cares about. Andy, by the way, great to see him tweet this. If he was still playing and had been invited, don't think he would have tweeted that.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, if it's possible that they had something like that in the contract that they couldn't do it. It would be amazing if they just like signed him up and then he goes for this, you know?
Yeah. All right. On that bombshell, just over 1 hour on the clock, I think we will bring this to a close. Wonderful that we had so many people joining in the live chat, etc., etc. Do hit that like button and subscribe. Give Damien and Vanch a follow as well on Twitter, or don't. Just you can follow me at jsilk. My Twitter following has barely changed in the last 2 years since Talking Tennis began. And sometimes, and today being one of those occasions, I do kind of forget that I'm using the Talking Tennis account when I'm reading tweets about football. But I try to sort of just stick to liking posts. But I might have done one tweet from that account about football today. But nevertheless, we will bring this to a close. So thanks very much for tuning in. And everybody else, you know the drill. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.